Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. As many of you probably already know, this is the first book in an epic adult fantasy series, and it follows the main character of Quoth, and this is actually him telling his story to a scribe, a chronicler who chronicles stories of these great people within this world. So this is him telling his story from a childhood up to late teens, and the whole series is revolving around his story. So first off, let me talk about the world building. I really enjoyed the world building in this story. You sort of get thrown in, but it's not in a confusing way. Sometimes when you get thrown into stories, they feel very dense and very confusing, but not really with this one. This book is one that does leave a lot of things unanswered, but not in a bad way, and that's true with the world building as well. There's a lot of things that are introduced that I don't quite understand exactly how they fit, but I do really enjoy this type of world. It's vast. There's a lot of different magic going on in here, and the magic system, as far as people who do magic, is really complex. You have to really learn it. You have to be really smart. So much so that sometimes the magic can even drive people crazy, and it has driven people crazy numerous times. It allows you and makes you kind of separate parts of your mind. It's really, really hard. So that's always a fun kind of magic system for me, because I like really seeing people have to work really hard. It's not just about natural ability, although Quoth does have a mind that really allows him to fall into magic easier than some. It's still challenging for him. Also, there's a lot of different magical creatures and magical beasts and stuff that you encounter, which is really cool. It's always something that I really like seeing in worlds. And there's a lot of also like political stuff going on, and just the society and different like rankings and stuff, and different kinds of people and different cultures. And it's just a very rich, immersive world that you can see existing outside of Quoth's story. Next, let me talk about our characters. Now, Quoth as a main character is one that is very polarizing, apparently. I had heard about this before going into it, and then once I told people I was reading it, they were all like, I love Quoth, or I hate Quoth, and everyone has an opinion. As far as book one, I don't really see anything that's going to make many people very angry about Quoth. Apparently people start not liking him in book two, but so far, I really enjoy him. The thing about Quoth that I love so much, that I love about this story, is that he's an unreliable narrator. He is telling his own story, and he's twisting things, he's leaving things out, he's amplifying certain things, and even the characters, sometimes you'll step out of the story and you'll see like kind of like a third person sort of situation. So you'll have characters commenting on things he's saying, and they'll even say that he's saying something wrong, or that he's like, it's important about how he tells the story and how he perceives himself and everything. So that's really interesting, and I really like him as a character for that reason, because he's flawed, and you can tell he's flawed, and you can tell that he might be kind of leaving things out intentionally and adding different things and whatever to his story. And he's an excellent storyteller as well, so that's always really fun. And he is really smart, but it isn't annoying for me, because you know from this world, this magic system that's been explained to you, that he has to be. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to be this kind of magician. So I really enjoy him. I think he's depicted very well. He also has these very human moments of being a teenage boy. One of the things that I think some people really don't like about him is they do say that he can be a little bit misogynistic. He isn't really that much in book one that I saw, but there are moments where he does act like a dumb teenage boy, and some of that can be feeling like misogynistic, but also it's just kind of like, he's a dumb teenage boy that's had barely any contact with women. It makes sense to me that he thinks every woman is stunningly gorgeous, and people will comment like, actually, she wasn't, you know, she's kind of normal or whatever, and like, to him, every woman is gorgeous, and some people are like, oh, like, these women are all just the same and stereotypes, and it's like, no. In his head, they're all gorgeous because they gave him attention. You know, like, it's really well written, and I really like him as a character, and I pull for him, and he makes mistakes, and I like when he makes mistakes, and he's been through a lot, and I just really enjoy him thus far. There's also a number of eccentric side characters that are in and out of his life. One of the things is that he has to go and learn magic, and the people that he learns magic from are all very different, are all just, like I said, eccentric, some of them more eccentric than others, and they're just really fun people that you get to kind of experience through his eyes. And just, like, again, the way that you view teachers from your high school as kind of caricatures of themselves are kind of how he describes people who teach him magic in here, which is really fun. Some people do critique that this doesn't have a ton of female characters. It doesn't, but it also kind of does, again, like I said, he does depict them as like everyone's amazing and everyone's gorgeous and whatever, because he's a dumb teenage boy. But I think all these characters have potential to get really fleshed out. There is a love interest character who I'm very undecided on. I think she's well written, and I think that her personality, it makes sense why he is so enamored with her from the beginning all the way till currently. But she is one that I think you're purposely not supposed to really like that much, and who can kind of leave you and all the other characters on their toes. So overall, I really like a lot of the characters in the story. The villains too, like, even, like, not so much villains, because I haven't really seen the main villain in here, but the antagonist type characters, like, you love to hate them, all of that fun stuff. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the plot. Like I said, this is him telling his own story. And one of the things that I really like about this is at the very beginning he says, every word I say has a purpose, every story I tell has a purpose, and if you think I'm going on a tangent, I'm not. So at times it can feel like, you're like, what is he getting at? And then you remember that line at the beginning and you're like, this is important for some reason, this is important for some reason, and I love that about it. And then also, like, since he's telling the story and he's trying to leave people on edge and he's trying to be entertaining along with also relaying his own history, he leaves things out and you're like, what am I gonna know this? And I know this is the first book in the series, but I feel like there are a ton of unanswered questions. Some people aren't gonna like that, but I really like how he lays this out and sets it up. I like the pace of the story. There are some times where I feel like stuff dragged a little bit and had a little more detail than others, and I wish other places had a little bit more detail, etc. But again, it's an interesting premise and plot because it's Quoth telling his own story, leaving things out purposefully. And I keep repeating that, but that's just what makes this so fun, what makes it so interesting and compelling and well written. So I really liked where it led. My review for it was very short on Goodreads, and I just said, I have so many unanswered questions, and I'm not even mad about it. I'm just really enjoying the ride of this book and this series. So overall, I obviously really enjoyed this one, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I will be doing a spoilery gush video on this. A lot of you guys were asking me if I would gush about it, and yes, absolutely. I obviously really enjoyed it, so I'll have plenty to talk about. So I'll leave the link for that on the screen. So comment below and let me know what you thought of The Name of the Wind. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!